Hey guys, so I thought I'd do something a bit different than usual. I'm going to start documenting the install, how to install on every vehicle from now on. Well, I'm going to try to do it from now on. And today we have a Mercedes E400. It looks brand new. Smells brand new. So yeah, it's a brand new vehicle coming for a set of nighttime running plates. I've opened up the vehicle. So what we're going to do is the installation. Here's a fuse box. We need to mount a front plate, a back plate, and an on-off switch. So what we're going to do is take power source from this fuse box. It's going to be fused 7.5 amp fuse to protect the circuit. If you look down there, see that little hole? I've just actually taken the grommet out, which is that. Don't throw the grommet away because we're going to need to put that grommet back in after we run our cables through. So talking about running our cables through, we're going to take fuse power source from here through that hole. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that hole should give us an entry or exit point underneath here. So we're going to bring the cable up. We're going to mount our on-off rocker switch here, so the customer could, or the client could, switch the plates on and off with the switch, and it's within arm's reach. So if he needs to switch it off or on while the vehicle's in motion, you can do that. From the switch, we're going to take one power line, run it through the car to the bottom of the vehicle, bring it to this point here. The second power line, again from the switch, is going to come back down here to feed the nighttime running plates. So I'm going to get started on it. I'll cover some of the tools you're going to need if I remember to do so. So I've got a cable rod, and I've poked the cable rod down through there. I've taken that panel, removed that panel off, taken that down, and on this vehicle, it's got a secondary slave fuse box here, which is a bit of a bonus, because we might be, between the two fuse boxes, we might be able to pick up the keyless function, which is pretty simple, but you need to have access to the right fuse box in the same side of the vehicle as you're going to run your main cables. So we've got two here, and now that gives us access to two fuse boxes with the options of possibly getting it to work on the remote. So it's just a matter of finding the right fuse port. As with all vehicles, clients' vehicles, when I work on them, I also make a log of other people that have worked on the vehicle, and this vehicle looks like it's been worked on from before, which there are two, somebody's grounded something here. It is a bonus for me. It means I don't have to drill any other holes myself. I'll pick up those points for the ground. I kind of accidentally deleted the last video, part 3, because my phone was running out of memory, and I need to delete some stuff, and I didn't back it up to the cloud, and I deleted it before it backed up. So I don't know what I said in the last video, so I might repeat myself, but I'm going to fast track through and try missing. So let's have a look here. I was really going on a flow before, and now everything's messed up and my video's not going to work out. Tools wise, you're going to need a panel tool, a torch, a T20 drive. So with the panel tool, take that, pop that cover off. Take the torch, I've taken this panel off, T20, one screw there, one screw there, take the screws off. Slowly prise this with your panel tool, let it loose, it'll drop down. On the top of this panel is a air conditioning channel or duct running, and it's mounted on top of that, and that goes into there. So it's a bit tight around that corner when you try and take it off. What you have to do is pull the panel a bit towards you and let it just slip out of that carpet recess that's there. As for the hole with the... let's have a look. Yes, okay, there. No, it's not going to be there because I've taken it out because I've done it in the last video which got deleted. So you're going to need the rod which you saw in the first video. Let's put the torch there. What I've done is put the cable on. This red and black cable will be for the front number plate. That braided cable, which I've tied on just like that. Just give you a better picture of that, if you know what I mean. So you can see the rod ends there. Then the cable stagger about an inch or two. So the cable is actually at the fourth, the hole finder. Can you see? And the rod is there just to give it a bit of support. The braided cable is already braided. We're going to be taking power from this fuse box here. Get yourself a multimeter. It's good to have a multimeter with a bit of with long leads. So can you see? I've just placed that in there and it's giving me a ground connection. If you guys look at this, so it's a simple little trick. We've put it on to read DC volts. So we've got power there. We've got power there. We don't have power. Let me try to get that. So let's get that. See, 12 volts. 12. That one is dead. Come here. Dead, dead, dead. Get the key. It's a nice, lovely key. I know all you motor drivers love touching your keys in your pockets. It's just so nice. Unlock the car. So, in case you didn't see it, press unlock. Unlock the car. Come back here. Check your fuses. And we have power. Perfect. So we're going to piggyback of this port here, the small spare free port there. Let's see if that it's powered up. It's got no power there. So what we'll do, we're going to put a piggyback fuse holder in. So it gives us the option of putting this back in and gives us another channel which is going to be fused. So if you know what I mean. So we've done that. Cable wise, guys, the cable is calculated in your packets. You're going to find the cable is calculated. It's the right gauge of cable and to feed the nighttime running plates and give the perfect amount of power to them so they illuminate properly. Which wire gauge cable you need to get. So I think it's 20 or 22, I'm not too sure. There's a lot to remember and some things I just rather put on paper than in my head. So have a look at the manual for the right gauge of cable that you need to use to extend the cables if the cables in the packet that came with the nighttime running plates are a bit too short. If I haven't mentioned that you're going to need a torch, make sure you have a torch. And if you look down there, you'll see my orange rod, my webbed power cable, and the red and black cable that's going to supply the front nighttime running plate. Right, if you look here, when the rod is come through, so when you push the rod down, guys, make sure you don't push it in too fast. Gently just probe it slowly with your finger. That sounds a bit gross, I know, but slowly, not with your finger, I mean push it down with your hand slowly. The reason you need to do it slowly is you don't want to come through so with force and puncture rubber grommets or a gasket or something. So come in slowly. When you tape the cable onto the rod, make sure you put only like one round of tape on it, because you want to be able to take it off when it comes to the side instead of fighting with it. Yeah, so the cables are in there, through there. We gently pull this back out. Okay guys, just going back on this bit I forgot to cover. When you do take this down, to take this off, actually take it to give you enough access to get your hand down there, you're going to have to take the thermostat out. That pin, and it just twist locks into there. and it looks like a thermostat to me, so it's just for your temperature control. So that needs to go back on, and then you're going to have to remove the OBD port connector, which is just there. I don't know if you can see it. I'm putting this back on again, and there you go, it's clipped on. I'm going to pull this back in there like that, clip that back on. My number plate wire, I've just chucked it in round the back there, and just through here, and I left it here for me to terminate, because I'm going to put the switch on that panel there. So let me put this back in. And the front cable I've measured off and I've cut. I've left a bit of access because I've got enough to do so, but make sure you guys measure your stuff, because this stuff ain't cheap and I don't really give away ample lengths of it. So I'm gonna put that through webbing, bring it down here, cable tie it nicely. You won't be able to recognize the cable, it'll be black. And if you look down here, it's a massive big gaping hole. Let's have a look down to the bottom there, and you could actually get access for the cable to come out through there. On the Mercedes, and most Mercedes, they have a plinth like that. This number plate plinth is not that bad. It's probably got about, I don't know, 6 mil bend on it. So if that was straight, well actually, I'll take that back. If that was, you could see how much gap we need to cover to bend the plate round. So we're gonna keep that on. That's gonna help us a lot instead of messing around, and it's gonna make the car look slick. What we're gonna do is drop the cable through there, just bring it up through here. We're gonna punch a one hole through there. Alright guys, so as you can see, I've started braiding in the cable. It's pretty easy. It's like putting a thread through a needle, or pulling your socks up. You know those very long socks those American gangsters wear, and those like wife beater, what do you call it, string vests, the Rabsy Nesbitt vests. And if you know who Rabsy Nesbitt is, then you could tell my age. Getting on a bit now. Okay, so it's easy. I don't know how to hold this phone. I need to get myself a camera and a tripod. I never have the time to do so. So what you need to do is to thread it in. Let's have a look. Just go like, pull on it, and you buckle up like that, and then slide it down, and then walk it in. So bubble it up, hold the cable, slide this down, it'll snake up like a fat boa constrictor, and then squeeze the shit out of it. Sorry for the language, but, well, don't squeeze the shit out of it, you ain't gonna move. But yeah, just work it down. Make sure you route your cables so they're not looped over anything, because it's gonna be a nightmare for you to undo everything just because you got the cables looped. Make sure the cables are clear. Just before, I've pushed it in a bit too much. Normally I do this on, you see, I don't know if you could tell, the webbings a bit frayed. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna pull the webbing back and get clear of the car. And my next operation, I promise I'll get a tripod. But this is giving you a really close insight. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just, with the lighter, just quickly done that. Can you see? I'm gonna just let it loose a bit. Once I push it down, the force of it will push that down and it won't come off again. So guys, I've webbed the cable. Because it comes in two parts, we give it in two parts so it's easier to web it. I've put a bit of tape on the joint. That cable is just follow my fingers, might be a bit hard to tell. Because when this car comes back in a few years, for the number plates to be removed and put on a new vehicle, even I can't find the cables. So when that time does come, we tell you to just take the plates off, cut the wire, and retain the plates and sell the car. When you come with your new vehicle, we'll put a fresh set of wiring loom in, because it's ever so difficult to find where the cables are, and it's not really worth putting the car through a de-install for a bit of cable. So I always like to put in a fresh bit of cable. As you can see, I'm tucking it through there. I will cable tie it with black cable ties. So that's the cable. Leave it loose so it's free. It's not taut. It's loose there. You can see the hole, which I'm going to blank off in a minute. This is the power. We're going to take this. This is going to be the feed coming for the power. In your installation kit, you'll find 3 types of fuses. I'm not too sure which one you're going to need, so I've chucked all 3 of them in the bag. That one will be used if you're going directly from the battery terminal and the fuse location ain't nowhere to be seen and it's too difficult to get to. Use that one, put it on the terminal, and it's going to have a 7.5 amp fuse there. Then you have the big standardized fuse blade holders, and from there you could tell what I mean by piggyback. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out the port we need, plug it into that saddle there, and plug them back into there, if you know what I mean. I'll show you in a minute. So you have those big ones there, and then you have the small ones. I'm not too sure which one of the 3 you're going to need, but it'll be in your pack. I've taken it off the rubber band and I've plugged it into there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to plug that on top of one of these 15s. We'll check on the owner's manual what they actually cover first, and then what we'll do is we'll take that out, put it in that spare port there, plug it in. That means the original system or whatever that fuse is doing, it'll carry on doing. It just gives us another fused power source. Anything goes wrong, the fuse will pop. I've taken a cable tie and I've made it into, I've locked it one cable tie into another to give me a bit of length. The cable's coming down through here. I've just dropped it down there and it's pretty much fallen out just there. We need to get to where my cable tie is pointing and the cable's there, so we need to get it back through one of those grill holes there behind this plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this down here like that, put my hand through. Right, it's going to be a two-handed job. If I have a look, I'll fish that through there, get it close enough so I could grab it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my end to that end and fish it through that side. Easy as simple as that. Alright guys, so what I've done is the cable came through and it was that long. Obviously I don't need that much wire, excess floating around in the front area. It's loose, but there's no excess on it. There is excess on it enough. So what we're going to do is, in your packs you'll find, I've got aluminium panel here because I can. But with you guys, you get this in paper. You'll have 3 holes or 2 holes on that side, 1 hole on that side. And what you're gonna do, you'll see the C marking on it. Put it on the center like that. You guys use, your template will be made from paper. So you guys use a bit of tape it down, find the mounting holes, and then mark the holes so you could drill the holes through. Okay guys, sounds like I'm rushing, because I am, and because I've done a million of these, I pretty much know what I'm doing. The reason I'm rushing is because I'm trying to make the video, and this idea came to me a couple of days ago, so I thought, you know what, sorry, I'm going to start doing install videos, full, proper, detailed install videos. So, it's 4 o'clock now, I've got a customer coming in at 5, so I need to get moving, but I still need to make the video. So, what I've done is, I'm unscrewed the mount. Not that much, enough for me to give me a bit of play. I've drilled a 6mm hole for that cable to come through. Don't screw it back on because we need to feed the cable back, because nighttime running plate comes with a bit of cable on itself. So we're going to feed it back into there and hide it in there. Just undo the screws. As you can see from before, on the last video I had the mounting plate on. With my marker pen I made some marks. 6mm holes, and these are going to be 2.5mm holes. We don't want to go big on the holes, because then our 3.5mm screws ain't going to have nowhere to latch onto. I've got the cable in through there. I'm going to leave that now, and I'm going to, so, number plate's ready to mount. That's ready to get plugged in. On this end, soldering the 2 cables on, putting that back up, and then putting the cover back on. Then we're done here. So what I need to do is concentrate on this area and get the switches on, then run the cable to the back number plate. Catch you in a bit. Guys, so the cable for the rear number plate, I've got a length of cable out here. We're gonna have to come through the inside of the vehicle, somehow through there, and come to this side. If you come around here, I've taken the old number plate off. I've got my mounting template on there. As you can see from the molding, that's the center there anyway. So my center is here. I'm gonna just line it up a little bit and mark my holes with a marker pen. Drill the hole through 6mm, 6.5 around here, and puncture two little 2.5mm holes there. Pilot holes for my screw to mount on. You should be okay on this. I've taken that panel off. There's two push fit plastic clips. These clips, they're really fragile and brittle. They're not really designed to come off. Can you see? I've taken that off. One of the arms has come off. So just pop that off there. Use a panel tool to lift that. You'll hear it crack, crack. Those holes there are where it's mounted onto. So the pins on the back of that pop into there. So give you a slight lever it just slightly here. You'll hear it pop. Pop it there. Pull it off. Gently pull this rubber off. Don't rip it. And it'll be extremely hard to rip, but we want to take it off nicely. When we put it back on, we'll spray it with a little bit of just a bit of a spray solution that we have here that the guys use for tint. It's a concentration of I forgot what it is, but it helps us. It's like WD-40 without being WD-40, because there's a bit of glue in here, if you could see. We don't want to put WD-40 on that glue, but what we're gonna do is it's a water-based solution, so it dries up. Once it dries up, it's water-based solution that we use. We'll just spray a bit of water on there. Let's call it water for now. Spray a little bit of water on there, and then we knock that back on afterwards once the install's done. So I'm gonna go ahead and punch those holes before my template slides off. Alright guys, so I've made a 6.5mm, 6mm hole there. The reason I'm saying 6.5 and 6mm holes is because I use a cone cutter, which gives me a nice little variance in size to get my hole through the bumper, and it gives my cable free movement. But one thing about drilling through bumpers is make sure that you're clear of any sensor lines or any electronic wires or electrical wires that are running through the vehicle. This has actually got a double hull on it. So you see the plastic, behind the plastic there's another layer. Behind the other layer you get access down here, and what I've done is I've slightly just given this a little push this way, giving myself a little bit of room. I'm going to tie my cable onto there. Well, I'm going to bring it from over there first. As you can see the other end of the cart, I'll bring it from over there first, tie it onto here and pull it through. So yeah, I think I covered everything on that. And make sure when you do put your mounting template on, it's nice and horizontal and it's level, so you don't want your plate to be on the piss. Okay, so the cables come through here. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I use my fishing line technique again. Put it down through there, feed the cable through, or put it through the hole, bring it up to there. Just take your time and be a bit patient. You'll get there, but if you try to rush it, then you're gonna end up getting frustrated. Slowly take your time and patiently. As you can see, I've bent the cable tie. I've put a bit of few bends in it to give me that curve. So once it goes up, it comes back over. And I've just used a small little tin piece of, actually my rod. But if you get something small that feeds through there, you can use that to help it come up. Once you got the cable up, tuck it in. So tuck it in, back in here, and then get to this point around here, right? Around this point here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna carefully loop it over there like that. The reason I'm going this point here, I will put a bit of tape underneath there. It's not sharp, so it's not gonna cut the cable when we put the rubber seal back on. But the reason it's here and not coming here is this is where all the weight is when you're loading stuff in the car. So there might be a chance you might end up cutting the cable, which would blow the fuse. So leave the cable here, and then we're gonna tuck that back in there nicely. Put all this back in. So it's gone in through here, guys, and I fed it through that carpet line. Just tucked it in with my panel tool, and you can see just popping out there. A golden rule is what I use is never go through any obstacle. always go under or over, especially where there are like hinges. For example, the door, there's hinges at the bottom of the door where the door pivots on when it opens. So you don't want to be going over that, you want to be going under that. So if it's underneath it, it clears the hinge. If it's over it, there might be a chance in the future when somebody's popping that seat down, it might cut the cable as it gets trapped into the hinge. And avoid that, and then wrap the cable down the side there. Seat belts here, so make sure you clear the hinge. My camera's not that great when it comes to dark environments. Let me get the so it goes around there. It's gonna come through here. I'm gonna tuck it in there, and I'm gonna clear the seat belt, and I'm gonna bring it down this channel here and up to there. I've connected both plates up, soldered them on, got heat shrink on them, so they're ready to be, well, they need to be covered up, heat shrunk down and mounted. Same with the front plate. It's soldered, ready to be heat shrunk down and mounted. Power's coming from the fuse box there. Okay, here's your power pack. The yellow and black cables power up the nighttime running plates. One cable is going that direction to the front plate, and this connection is going back towards me to the rear number plate. The power is coming in and it connects to the power line on the switch. From the switch, 2 wires go to the red and black input. Red and black is input, output is yellow and black. I've soldered them on, they're ready to be heat shrunk down. All I need to do is mount the plates. I'm gonna get this panel back and I'm gonna drill the hole in the panel just there. Okay, so everything's been terminated off, soldered on, heat shrunk down. Power pack's been tucked away neatly just behind the carpet there. When you do put the power pack in, make sure you put it in an area where there's a bit of space so it can breathe a little bit. It's got a massive housing, aluminium housing, aluminium housing on it that works as a heat sink, so it prevents it from overheating. We've got the LED rocker switch that I've left out with enough length on it to mount into that 20mm hole there. So once you put that back in, we'll take the button off, put the lugs through the hole and push the button back on. You come around this side. Rear number plate's ready to go on. We're gonna see if the trick worked. So I'm gonna get my man in the background, the owner of this prestige, beautiful Mark vehicle that we got here. Dipesh, right? Yeah. Actually, I haven't got his consent for him to be recorded. That's so fine. Thank you. But I'm gonna let him grab his keys and let's see if the remote feature works. Boom. There you go. Okay guys, as I was saying, everything's dressed in. And the $1,000,000 question people keep on asking, how do you mount a number plate on a curved bumper, especially with the Mercedes and maybe sometimes Vauxhalls, but I don't really sell nighttime running plates to Vauxhalls, so it's more applicable to Mercedes. What we're going to do, that's nighttime running plates. You see, we need to, nighttime running plates does have a bit of bend on it, so what we're going to do, you see where where it's taped up, there, there and there, in your packs you'll find some packing. So what you'll do is, we'll pack it up with that, and I'll show that in a minute, what I mean. And we're gonna take the curvature out of the plinth. So I've packed my plates up on the edges, but not in the center. The number plate mount is curved, so we need to build it up on these edges, not in the middle. And when you get the plate, you can feed the cable back into the hole, and then it'll stick on like that. Alright guys, install's done. Just need to put that cover back on. Everything's put back on here. On-off switch is just there. Let me zoom out for you. There you go. On-off switch is just at the top of my fingernail. There. That's on. And The last thing is the first thing we took off when we done the install, the rubber grommet. As you can see, I've cut a V shape into it to allow for the cables to go through that hole. When we mount it, we're going to mount it on a downwards like that. So if there is any water coming in, it should bounce off around the other top of the sphere and go that way or whatever way. But we put the grommet back in and the job's done. Alright Dipesh, it's all yours, bro.